Kia ora. Good morning and good evening, everyone. My name is DF Kanchana Nadira, and today I'll be presenting my research progress. And my topic is Leading Transformational Change in Ottero's Garment Fashion Industry to Build Sustainable Future. My project focuses on how change leadership can support the transformation of New Zealand fashion industry, an industry that sit at the crossroad of creativity, cultural, and commercially yet faces immense sustainable challenges. This research is part of my Master of Change and Organizational Resilience at Academy X Cohort 6. With that to explore consumer perception and behavior towards sustainable fashion in New Zealand, and the main goal of this research project is to determine the social, cultural, economical, and psychological element that affect New Zealand customers' decision to buy local created clothing. But currently, state especially small to medium fashion business, I would say SMVs, in New Zealand have a difficult time striking a balance between sustainable business practices, ethical production, and financial viable, etc. Moving on. First of all, if I give a background of the global fashion industry is responsible for around 10% of global carbon emission and 20% of wastewater. And this is a major global sustainable issue. We see the same pattern of overproduction, textile waste, and imported fast fashion dominate the market. In Aotearoa, while we are geographically small, our consumer habit and supply chain mirror these global issues. And of course, we face similar challenges with overproduction and imported fast fashion, yet we also have strong opportunities, predominantly in terms of strong local resources like merino wool, growing sustainable movement, ethical innovators like Icebreaker and Untouched World, and the design community increasingly guided by the Maori values and the guidance of Titiriti Waitangi principle. If I emphasize three pillars that are partnership, participation, and protection. Partnership co-design sustainable system alongside Maori and the Pacifica leaders. Participation ensure Maori knowledge system are embedded, not added on. Protection safeguard both the environment and cultural heritage. With that, I would say the research focus on especially how we can move from take make waste model to take make zero waste model, which culturally grounded, economically sustainable, and relationship provide a foundation for the ethical innovation business model, and the policymakers and the investment, etc. Moving on. So if I take you through more depth, my research uses a mixed method design, combining quantitative survey and the qualitative interviews to gain both statistical and the narrative insight. This approach allows me to triangulate data for stronger validity and reflect the interconnection nature of sustainability. The quantitative survey is now 80 to 90% completed with over 45 participants currently. It captures public attitudes on people, price, behavior, trust, product, and the sustainable awareness. The qualitative interview planned for the next stage will focus on customers, expert, designers, SMBs, Maori creatives, and the policymakers using Kapapa Maori framework to ensure cultural safety and the cooperation. Together, these methods explore how change leadership rather than simple management can fashion SMB align ethically with the viability. Data integration and the complementary analysis. The qualitative survey provide broader industry insight, while the qualitative interviews will deliver deeper into specific challenges and the opportunities for sustainable transformation. Ensure a comprehensive understanding of the research question. Going into next slide. In my slide showcase the main research question that I plan to use, and to guide this have developed sub questions too. So currently industry practices model like model and the environment pollution and social challenges, etc. So as I mentioned earlier, currently my research is at an intermediate stage. Proposal and ethics approval completed. Survey data collection 80 to 90% completed. Interview space, next step. Data analysis and report writing, important, and it is upcoming. In the slide middle, visualize this milestone progress. So far, early survey results are showing strong consumer awareness of the sustainability, but disconnect between the values and the action. A pattern consists with international studies. I would like to point out key insights so far. Designers value particularly principle but lack funding and the facilities. Consumers care about the sustainability but prioritize affordability and the style. Manufacturers and the retailers want to adopt ethical practices but face cost pressure and the limited sources of supplier chain network. This reinforced that the sustainable transformation isn't just technical, it is also cultural and systematic, requiring collaboration across the entire value chain. So I would like to point out that primary research results identify barriers such as lack of industry know-how, consumer adaptation, high business cost and the framework, but still strongly influence purchasing decision, highlighting the value action gap. Moving on. Of course, there are challenges, as no research is without challenges. In my case, several key limitations and the challenges stand out, such as recruiting diverse participation across New Zealand and isolated garment fashion industry. However, my strategy is to focus on depth and richness of insight rather than volume using verification and the selective sampling and the triangulation to validate result. Balancing traditional and Western framework, keeping Maori creativities from being standardized. It demands that I, as a researcher, continuously reflect on my positionality and avoid tokenism. Timing issues, especially with stakeholders managing peak production season. I review this as an opportunity to refine, focus, and prioritize meaningful, high quality insight rather than surface level generalization. And the potential for social desirability bias, where participant responds with what they think is expected. Although I addressing this by offering flexible participation option, mitigating through flexible scheduling, anonymous surveys, and the continuous consultation with cultural advisors. Moving on to next slide. As I look ahead, my next priority is displayed on the slide: conducting interviews with SMB leaders, Maori designers, and policy experts. These interviews will allow me to explore cultural, ethical, and operational dimensions that cannot be captured through survey alone. Analyzing survey data using for trend and thematic coding, quantitative and qualitative, will allow me to identify not just what people believe, but why they act the way they do. This will deepen the analysis and strengthen the validity of the overall conclusions. Integrating research results to create policies and the business recommendation possible, including stakeholder informed prototype for the new sustainable product core design concept, so created with community feedback. Co-presenting result in April 2026, including stakeholder feedback session. Well, further, it also enhanced my ability as a change leader to think systematically, balance three P's: people, profit, and planet in practical way. I am learning that small, culturally grounded intervention can create lasting transformation towards sustainability fashion. Moving on, personally, I have learned that sustainability is not just about product. It is about relationship, values, and the leadership. Applying T Waitangi principle through my research has taught me that the genuine partnership means shared ownership of knowledge and outcome. Although it is important to exploration of AI expand perception on the technology as a partner organization, so that this project is helping me to grow as a change leader, one who understands that the transformation must be culturally, ethically, economically, and the technologically balanced. As a tagline line which I made, a sustainable fashion industry is possible through collective action. To sum up, I believe that the sustainable transformation in fashion require people collective courage to make change. As Otero shift toward repetition, our challenge is not just to change system but to reimagine leadership that honor people, culture, and the planet. Especially how we can move from take make waste model to take make zero waste model that is both culturally grounded and economically sustainable. Lastly, moving, I would love to receive feedback from my cohort members, especially areas like the structure and flow of my interview questions, how I can make my data used to enhance analysis with AI technology use, and visual presentation clear, and way to further strengthen the integration of TTT Waitangi principle in my process. Of course, any other scope with my project. Thank you all of your time and look forward to hear feedback soon. Have a great day. Thank you.